You find you hit a lot of shots that tend to go off to the right and fly with just a really weak flight. Now this is a problem that's common to a lot of new players to golf, but it can creep in at pretty much any stage. There's one key thing that really controls what happens during that movement, and we're going to talk about that today. Hi, I'm Peter Knight. I've created this channel, Peter Knight Golf, to help you play the best golf you possibly can. And if you subscribe to the channel, then you'll get a video every week. But let's have a look today at what the most common cause is of the club face being open. When I set myself up, everything's fine. Swing the club back to the top of the swing, and then by the time I strike the ball, it just has a weak flight off to the right. Now sometimes I might miss the ball from the middle of the club face, hit it out on the toe. That'll cause the club face to aim to the ball to go to the right a little bit. But let's have a look at the key cause of that shot going to the right in the first place. If you're one of those players, then when you're swinging the club, as the club's approaching the ball, what you might notice is the toe of the club, which you can see here, is pointed a little bit forward or vertical. If you're watching and you're one of those players that hits the ball to the right, you'll probably see that the club face is either completely vertical or maybe even angled backwards. So as the club's approaching the ball, the club face is way too open. So it's actually opened earlier in the downswing or through the backswing. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at a couple of checkpoints and then a couple of things that you can do to ensure that you get the club back to the ball squarely. The first, when I swing the club back away from the ball and I move to here, let's say the shaft of the club is at about a 45 degree angle to the ground. So it's not horizontal and obviously it's not vertical. So it's at about a 45 degree angle. When I look at my club face here, the toe of the club is not pointed straight up, nor is it horizontal. It's about 45 degrees as well. So that's our first checkpoint. So as the club goes back, there's very little movement as the club's gone back, so my wrists haven't really done very much. When I swing the club back, if I'm checking where I am here, the toe of the club is a little bit short of being vertical. Now, when it moves back, it can be within a range. It doesn't have to be, exactly X degrees as I'm going back. Because we're human, we're going to have variability in that movement, so it's going to change a little bit from shot to shot. Not by much, and it'll be by less as you become more skilled at the movement. But here's the key thing. My left wrist here, I'm looking for it to be reasonably flat, maybe a little bit bent this way. With the players that swing the club back and have the club face quite open at impact, it's at the top of the swing and the start of the downswing that all the trouble starts to begins. So I get back to the top of the swing. If my wrist bends a lot like this, you can see the toe of my club is actually hanging straight down rather than being roughly at a 45 degree angle. But this movement here, coupled with starting the downswing and bending the wrist more, so as the club swings down, now my club face is really, really open. Now, I haven't really got much time from there to try and get the club face back to the ball squarely. So, more importantly than even the start of the takeaway, but keep an eye on that because that is critical to set you up for what happens at the end of the backswing. More critical than that is when you go back to the top of the swing, have the wrist bent only a very small amount. Now, when I'm setting myself up, as you can see here, there's already a little bit of bend there, and that's quite normal. Everybody will have that. You're not looking to try and eliminate that from the start. But when I get back to the top of the swing, I want it to be the same or a little bit less than what it was at the start of the swing. In the downswing, my feeling is that the wrist now, I'm going to exaggerate this for effect, but my wrist feels like it flattens almost going the opposite way. And what that'll do is that'll help me keep that club face nice and square when I play the shot. So the key difference though with this shot that goes off to the right is that when I swing the club back in the downswing, I want that wrist to feel like it's flattening, which is just keeping my club face square as I swing down and through. So let's give it a go. And the ball's gone off quite straight. So practice that, have a look at it, particularly if you record your swing. Watch what happens at the end of the backswing, the very start of the downswing, and notice whether this wrist movement starts to have the wrist move a lot in this direction. If it does, that's going to open the club face. Keep a check on that, and you'll find that if you're doing it correctly, you're going to hit the ball a lot straighter.